My name is Yukendran. I'm a digital experience design master student at Hyperland. Today, I'm going to talk to you about in-depth interviewing and do's and don'ts while conducting one. In-depth interviewing is a type of interview which researchers use to elicit information in order to achieve a holistic understanding of a person's point of view or a situation. It can also be used to explore interesting areas for further investigation. As in-depth interviewing often involves qualitative data, it is also called qualitative interviewing. In-depth interviews are exploratory and integrative by nature. The aim is to gather insights into how people live and what do they do. There is no better way to understand the hopes, desires, and aspirations of those you are designing for than by talking to them directly. Let's talk about the do first. Do prepare a guide. Guide will help you to achieve optimum use of interview time. They serve the useful purpose of exploring many respondents more systematically and comprehensively, as well as to keep the interview focused on a desired line of action. An interview guide details the main theme of the topics and the questions. The level of details can vary considerably, but what is key is to ensure that all the topics that you want to cover are covered. But keep in mind, guide is merely a guide. It's not to be treated as a prescribed script. It is to help the conversation drive towards the topics and issues one wants to learn more about. To include all type of users and stakeholders. When it comes to recruiting participant, IDEO recommends to target the big broad mainstream and those on the either extreme end of the spectrum. Interviewing extreme users will expose the listener to use cases, hacks, and opportunity areas that you'd have never imagined. Think about a wider ecosystem around the problem. Ask yourself who the different players are in the field that you're investigating, who's directly or indirectly connected. Understanding the problem from various perspectives will help fuel stronger opportunity areas down the line. This will help select relevant people for the interview. Do inform and clearly state the purpose of the interview. You should explain the purpose of interview to the study participants within the broader context of the research. In doing so, it is important that you be truthful and straightforward about the study objectives and the anticipated risks and the benefits to the individual participant and the community. Informed consent is a mechanism for ensuring people that understand what it means to participate in a particular research study. Informed consent means that your research participants are aware of their rights during the session so that they can decide in a conscious manner whether they want to participate or not. Properly understood, informed consent is a process of communication between the researcher and the participant. Seek permission, not forgiveness. Do introduce yourself and the objective. You need to introduce yourself, state your company, project, describe what you are doing, and ask if it's okay to ask questions. If the participant says yes, then you can carefully and seriously ask your questions. Talk slow and be polite. If you have the opportunity to communicate with the participant ahead of the interview, do so. An email in advance of an interview is a chance for you to introduce about yourself, the project, and the background to the interview. It will help the participant to feel more confident and relaxed. Whenever possible, conduct the research in the participant's space. You can learn so much about a person's mindset, behavior, and lifestyle by talking to them where they live or where they work. Do take notes and observe. In order to have the interview data captured more effectively, recording is considered one of the appropriate choice. It is also that recording will help you stay in the flow of the conversation and give the participant the kind of positive listening which keeps them engaged. What a person says is only one data point. Be sure to observe your participant's body language and in the context in which they are talking. While noting, be sure to create a separate space clearly labeled to report the observation versus your interpretation, distinguishing clearly between participant comments and your own observation. Let's talk about the don'ts. Don't lead, don't close, and always ask open-ended questions. Leading questions pro-offer the answer within the question. Closed questions suggest yes or no answers. Both closes down the space for the participant to give an insightful answer. Have a conversation. It is important to make the participant feel more at ease and relaxed to open up for the conversation. Like how Paul Rinker, the famous Swiss documentary filmmaker, states, I don't interview people, I have a conversation with them. Dig deeper. One of the key to successful interview is knowing when and how to probe. Throughout the interviewing, one should follow the topics that have been raised by asking specific questions, encouraging the informant to provide details, and constantly press for clarification for the informant words. Even seemingly objective words can have different cultural meaning. Although the tone of interviewing is conversation, probing distinguishes this kind of interviewing from everyday conversations. Interview will have less useful information if the interviewer does not have enough background knowledge to know when a response deserves a probing or not. Remember, the qualitative research can access things people didn't even know that they knew. Don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes the best follow-up question is asking nothing at all, especially after the person has just revealed something important. More often than not, if you are quiet and give them space to keep sharing, they will. Interviewers often feel the urge to ask another question when there is a pause. If you allow for silence, a person can reflect on what they just said and may reveal something really deeper. Don't ask lengthy questions. Be careful not to pose several questions at once without giving the participant an opportunity to respond to individual questions. When it does, participants are unlikely to address each of the questions in full. DiCicco recommends to frame a question which contains only 10 words. There is a possibility for the participant to get lost in a long and lengthy question. Don't treat the participants as subjects. Treat them as people, as collaborators. It is important to be considerate of cultural expectations and sensitivities at play. You should be thoughtful and kind. The research is more about gaining people's perspective, not to offer them advice or opinions. Participants should feel that their perspectives are valid. In practice, the interviewer should keep his interruptions to the minimum and give the participant as much as time necessary to elaborate and explain any particular issue. Don't forget to download immediately after the interview. Immediately following the interview, take a little time to capture your sense of what just happened, what the standard moments were, a memorable insight, or a non-verbal cue you spotted. Write everything down. The post-interview download is a useful way for you to clear your mind before the next interview. To close this talk, I would like to add what Lawrence Grobel once stated. Converse like a talk show host. Think like a writer. Understand subtext like a psychiatrist. Have an ear like a musician. Thank you.